Hi, this is Susan from Hot Shot Polka Dot. This is part 1 of spring sewing, where I've taken Dollar Tree items and made doll clothes. You need a sewing kit, a sewing machine, or a needle and thread. Need the following items from the Dollar Tree: and you need a doll. Here we go. I have an Easter basket that I'm going to transform into a jacket, and socks, either as shirts or leggings, haven't decided yet. And the best part is this placemat into capris. Okay, I took the little basket apart. There's the ears, and that's the bottom of the basket, and that's the handle. And I'm going to put my pattern. And that will be the back of the jacket. I used a pencil and traced around the shirt and made sure that this was centered. And then I folded it and gave it just a little bit of space on this side. And when I cut it, I will cut both sides at the same time, so that they'll be the same size. And here it is, cut out. Place right sides together. I stitched the shoulder seams and press them open, and now I'm going to run a little top stitch to keep it flat. This has become one of my favorite stitches. I don't know what the name of it is, but it does this little up and down curve. It does the same job as a zigzag stitch, except it's just prettier. And I went ahead and did the sleeves using the same stitch to keep the fabric from raveling. Before I sew the side seams, I'm going to use the bunny ears. I folded them and made a little collar. I folded the ear and left about 1/4 of an inch so that I'd be able to sew it onto the jacket. That was probably the hardest part of this whole outfit. It took a lot of maneuvering and pinning, and I basted and all kind of stuff. You could probably skip this if you're a beginner, but it does make it look really cute. Just make sure you do clip the curves. That'll help it lie flat. I also cut off on the back of the jacket about this much. I just want it to a rounded collar rather than a square collar. I folded the handle, showing about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm attaching it to the front of the jacket. And you can trim this off after you've finished. Now you're ready to sew the side seam and under the arm. Just make sure you clip the corner so that it'll lie flat. Okay, there's the front. You could put, I've got some left from the ears, you could put it around the sleeves if you want to, but I think I'm done with that outfit. And here's the back. Cute. About 2 weeks ago I showed you outside my window, and it was covered with snow. It was really beautiful. And today there's little flowers on the tree, and this is my view while I'm sewing. And now for the capris. My pattern is on Etsy, and you're just attaching the shorts to the rest of the pants and tape it, hold it up to your doll, and just to be on the safe side, I'm going to do it a little bit longer, and then I can hem it after I cut it out. On the wrong side of the fabric, trace with chalk, and you see I've also folded. But do not cut until you have sewn on the lines, on the chalk lines, the two curves. So again, sew the curves before you cut. Okay, you see where I've sewn the curve, both sides, and right on top of the chalk line, and I marked the back with a B. The back is usually a little higher than the front. Cut on the chalk lines and leave about 1/4 of an inch from where you stitched. And again, right on the chalk lines. And use the hem of the placemat as the hem of your capris. Clip your curves as close as you can get to the stitches, and then finish your edge with a zigzag or a decorative stitch. It's interesting how this beautiful teal fabric looks Carolina blue on the green mat, but it's a nice teal. I strongly suggest the first time you use this pattern, use a scrap piece of fabric just to make sure the pattern fits the doll. I have 5 American Girl dolls, and they each have a different size waistline. So this is a good time to try the capris on, so that you'll know about how wide you want your seam. Same with the waistline. I clip the curves and finish the seam on the pants legs, and I made a nice finish to the waistline. I'm going to turn it under and top stitch. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but you don't have to have a zipper or an elastic. My patterns just fit. And not snug, but enough that a little top will cover it up. And I just turned out the bottom of the capris. I'll probably tack down this raw edge, and that looks great. Good fit. I'm making 2 tops out of these socks. Okay, you're cutting down the heel to the spot on the toe. And you can see that this looks like the neckline, and that looks like the sleeves, and this is the hem. It's a little bit more clear on the doll that this sock becomes a shirt. I've pinned the shoulder seams and where I want the side seam to stop, and that's going to be the hem. I'm using a running stitch, which is just an up and down stitch, and I'm going back the second time. And yes, you could use a machine, but it tends to stretch the sock fabric, so it's easier just to use hand sewing. Okay, I've sewn the side seam and the shoulder seam, and then I hemmed the armhole with a running stitch. I'm pinning the hem, and I cut some of the excess off. And it's not going to be perfect, but I'm getting it as straight as I can. Okay, here's the shirt. And I'm going to take this little flower and use it as an applique on the shirt, right there. I used fray check to keep the applique from unraveling. And Dollar Store had several new stamps. They had the alphabet, and they had, I'll show a picture of the type of stamp they had this time, but I didn't need to buy any more. So I'm using one of my stamps. It's an R. I'm going to stamp it onto this little square of fabric, and then I'm going to sew the fabric onto the pink. Here is the painted monogram applique, and again I used the fray check around the edges, keep it from fraying. I'm using the up and down running stitch that I've shown you, and I've been sewing a long time, and I don't get it perfect, but I don't mind it. I like it. I like the effect. I keep white or dark thread on my machine to sew the seams, but I thought I'd show you my drawer of tiny little spools that I keep just for top stitching or sewing on appliques. This is what I've got so far, and of course the little jacket. I was hoping to get all of the outfits on the recording today, but I'm almost at 15 minutes, so I'll stop there and make a part 2. So on my part 2 video, the seasonal springtime outfits, I will still use the ribbon for a skirt, downsize the hat, the adult hat, use the tulle, and I might even make a pair of shoes with the leftover fabric or the ribbon. Haven't decided yet. Okay, thanks for watching.